tell us about yourself and your involvement with Glasgow City Council Leadership Programme.
Okay, I work for Innovative Routes to Learning. We're a unit within the School of Education, and we run a variety of educational intervention programmes with primary school pupils and secondary school pupils, and our main focus is on widening access. So among all the programmes we do, we run the S3 and the S4 elements of the Focus West programme. So obviously we do a lot of work with local authorities, and I'm actually a member of Glasgow City Council's Youth Employability Group. And Glasgow City Council, through that I have quite good connections with vocational education within the council. Vocational education run a leadership programme for senior secondary school pupils. And they asked me if I would be willing to kind of supply a university element to that programme. And kind of specifically a widening access element. So we'd be working with their schools with kind of lower higher education progression rates, who are generally the schools that we work with anyway.
Okay. Can you give a brief description of what the leadership programme is?
For the senior pupils, there's kind of two parts of the programme. They do a kind of theoretical element of the programme, where they kind of look at different leadership styles and analyse kind of real life examples of those. And then a big part of the programme is a more kind of practical element where the pupils are asked to design and run an event. Normally sort of an event in their school, so it could be a senior prom or possibly a charity event. So our university element of the programme, there'll be 4 schools taking part in that. We have St Andrews Secondary School, Bannerman High School, Ross Hall Academy and Cleveland Secondary. And what they'll be doing first of all is they'll come up to the university for a day. And what we're looking to do is trying to combine the leadership aspects with the finding out about university aspects of the programme. So they will take part in a lecture, they'll listen to a lecture about leadership. They'll then take part in tutorial discussions based on the content of that lecture. And then they'll do a variety of kind of group activities which allow them to kind of go around the campus, find out more about university courses, departments and different facilities. But within that there will be kind of teamwork and there will be kind of leadership roles, and they get to examine how they're working together. After that, the idea is that the event that the pupils will put on in the school will be a half-day event for S1 or S2 pupils, which will be about university. It will be trying to raise the awareness of those pupils about university and higher education. So the senior school pupils will design different activities for them, and it will, in many ways, it will echo what Strathclyde students who are working with the pupils have done on the campus day. The pupils will also, they'll carry out an evaluation of their programme to see if it had any impact. And they will also do some research. They'll do research into higher education progression rates nationally, in Glasgow as a whole, and specifically in their own school. And they'll think about what are the barriers to some young people progressing to university. They could well do a survey of the pupils in their school to see what are their intended post-school destinations. After that, there will be a final event back on campus where all the groups, different schools will come back together and will give presentations on the work that they've done.
Okay. This year, business students from Strathclyde University studying the Management Development Programme have been asked to get involved in the Leadership Programme. How did this collaboration come about?
I think it's something that the business school very much wants to do with the students who are on the Management Development Programme, is to develop a kind of outreach aspect to it, to have students working in the local communities, giving something back to local communities, and being more aware of these kind of issues, that there's more of an ethical dimension to the MDP programme. So we were actually working in collaboration with the business school about other pilot programmes that we might run in schools with regard to that. So when this opportunity came up, I thought, well, this is kind of exactly what the business school would be interested in. It's got that kind of dimension of working with the local community and giving things back, but it also hopefully develops the kind of skills that we want within the MDP students. It's a great opportunity also for kind of cross-faculty collaboration. We're the School of Education within the HAS faculty, and working with the business school it's a great opportunity. So we kind of started the whole process by, I gave a presentation to all the students on the 3rd year of the MDP course. And the ones who were interested applied, said why they wanted to take part in the programme, and then we ran an interview process. We interviewed 24 students to get down to the 16 who are actually going to be working on the programme. And the standard of applicant was very, very high indeed.
And what's the MTP students' role?
In a nutshell, they're running the programme, really. They've been given a lot of responsibility, and in many ways they're doing my job. They're running a widening access programme. So at the moment they've been divided up into 3 groups. One group is in charge of project management, one group is in charge of the evaluation of the programme, and another group is doing the kind of design of the materials and the activities that the pupils will take part in. They'll also, when the pupils come up to the campus for the day, they'll mentor them, take them through all the different activities, and then after that they will be in charge of making sure that the pupils successfully run the event in their school. So there'll be groups of students going out and working with those pupils and making sure that everything goes okay with those. And then again the MDP students will be in charge of organising all the different elements of the final campus day when the pupils come back up to campus. But also within all this there's a lot of other interesting kind of roles that you might have. MDP students will be in charge of the publicity for the programme. It was MDP students who organised this interview. There's an MDP student interviewing me right now. So lots of interesting different roles.
And what skills do you think this will help the MDP students develop?
The MDP students, I think there's all kinds of skills within it. There's kind of research skills, presentation skills, project management, etc. But I think the big thing about it is the level of responsibility that a programme like this has. This is not a pretend programme. We have a real target group. And even the teams are working together. There's 3 separate teams working at the moment, but they have a responsibility to the larger kind of team, and most importantly, they have a responsibility to the pupils who will be taking part in the programme, that we have a responsibility to provide a very good, valuable programme for them. And I think one of the best things from working on a programme like this in a real kind of working environment is the kind of development of communication skills, thinking about who do you need to communicate with, how are you communicating with them, and how important that something like this, which is multifaceted, if it's going to run well, you need very good communication. I'd also say, very importantly, a big part of the programme is raising awareness of widening access issues. Hopefully this helps the MDP students understand a little bit more about these kind of issues and the inequality that exists within our education system. But it also gives them an opportunity to help with that a little bit, and hopefully feel that a real sense of achievement from being able to help with that a bit.
And what benefits do you think the pupils will gain from this collaboration?
Well, I think for the ones who are not currently thinking about going to university, hopefully it'll make it seem like a more viable option. For ones who are already thinking about going to university, hopefully they'll feel more comfortable with it, more familiarised with the campus environment, and we may be able to help address more kind of individualised concerns that they have. Areas that they want to know more about. And we've quite deliberately done that. The materials that the students have designed for the pupils to do before they come, a lot of that is asking them what areas are they interested in finding out more about, and that we can do.
And do you think it's important for Glasgow Central Council to have a strong relationship with the business school?
I think so, yeah, and I think the council feels that way, and certainly the business school feels that way, that it's important that we have these links with our local community. Strathclyde University, a large part of what it does is outward facing and has a strong international element to it, good international links, but it's important that institutions have sort of links within their local communities as well, that we're not an elite institution. And I think also it's Scottish Government policy at the moment is very much geared towards providing learners, pupils and students with efficient learner journeys, and I think we can only really do that when we kind of break down distinctions between schools and colleges and universities.
How do you think this widening access programme is an improvement in comparison to other widening access programmes?
I'm not sure I'd say it's, well, hopefully it will be an improvement. I think it's slightly different though, and I think what is good about this programme is that there is this kind of cascading effect. Our students will be running a widening access programme with senior school pupils, and those senior school pupils will then go on to run a widening access programme with the younger pupils in their school. I think it's also good that the students, our Strathclyde students, are gaining accreditation for work that they are doing that allows the pupils in the school to gain a qualification. And it's also, I think it's quite nice that this is based in, this is vocational education within the City Council. And quite often we sort of would work with areas of the Council Education Department that are more geared towards university and higher education. And it's nice that, that distinction between vocational education and higher education doesn't really exist. And there should be more kind of fluidity between them. And acceptance at the higher levels of vocational education, then you're getting into the realms of thinking about higher education as well.
Okay. What advice would you give pupils from non-traditional backgrounds looking to gain access into higher education?
I think, to put it simply, that they have as much right to be there as anybody else does. That if you have the ability and the potential and the interest, then there's no reason why you shouldn't go on to do it. That it's a fantastic opportunity to learn new things, to meet new people, and also it's obviously very good for concerned with career prospects. And you know, even if you're the first person in your family to think about going to university, that's no reason not to do it. Every family who's ever had someone go to university, somebody's had to be the first person to do that. And even if you look at the MDP students who are working on the programme, I think about half of them are the first person in their family to go to university.
Thanks very much, Ian, for taking the time to do this interview.
My pleasure.